All right, today we're looking for some retro video games that I believe are up here in the attic. Okay, I got this Xbox 360 box. But before we get into that, I'm interested really in what's beyond it here. I see this Sega Genesis, but this Sega Genesis is much bigger than you may remember because it's hooked up to a Sega CD. Okay, so here it is, and this was a pretty cool package because you have the Sega Genesis and you play the 16-bit games on it, and then the Sega CD hooks on the bottom and you play a whole nother, this is a whole nother system, but it runs through the Sega Genesis. Then I also had a 32X that would go in the top. So I'm excited to find this because I've been wondering what happened to the Sega CD, and I do have quite a few games for it. As I'm looking in here, in towards the back, I saw something else that is definitely of interest. This thing that looks like a regular old computer keyboard. This is actually a Commodore 64 personal computer. Now, we had one that was a little before this. This was the newer one that we had back in the 80s. And you see it's got the ports on the side where you can plug the controllers in. Okay, in the back, that's where you would put the cartridge. And it's got the exports. I still have the monitor that goes with this too. We still have that around here. So the Commodore 64 is a cool thing. And if I kind of pan over here, I don't know if you'll see it, but this desk, right? This desk has the Commodore logo on it. This is where we used to put the Commodore.
Was that your computer?
No, it was like my dad's computer. This was like the only computer we had in the house at the time. Speaking of retro video games, look at this. Dracula. This was a pretty cool game. I used to really like this one. It's missing a battery cap, but I'd like to see if we could get some batteries and put in there if it still works. But I remember you used to have to make the little guy run past the gates and stuff like that, and he had to watch out for bats. It was just a little kind of Atari type game, but it was neat because it lit up and it made really cool noises, sounds. The music was neat. And I love the artwork on the cabinet. Okay, back into the closet. Before I get into this one box, I'm still looking at systems here. We've got an old Atari system. Atari 2600. And this isn't exactly like the one that you may remember. It's a smaller version of it. But it plays the same 2600 games. You got the places where the controllers can go in the back. To my knowledge, this still works, even though it is missing a chip, which is very sad to see. But beneath it, I saw something really neat, which was the first video game system we've ever had in this house, the original Atari 2600. So here we are, we can kind of do sort of a side-by-side. The original Atari 2600, and you can see how much smaller the newer one is. I mean, it's almost as big as it that way, but really it just, that's just the way it looks in the video. It's really a lot smaller. I mean, if you look at it next to it, maybe if I put it in the back it looks smaller. I mean, I don't know, but it is. You gotta take my word for it. I'm not seeing it through the video viewfinder, but like here in person I'm seeing it. It's not making sense. Maybe it's, like I said, it's the relation of it to the video or something.
That always happens.
But we got the Atari logo on there. Look at this. TV type, color, black and white. Game difficulty was right here. Game select, reset. This was a cool system. I mean, everyone knows about the Atari. I don't have to tell you how cool it is. But one thing that was neat, I found neat, is that you had to make options with the system. You couldn't just do everything with the push of a button like you can now from the controllers. And there's where the controllers and the power adapter would go in the back of the system. Yeah, in the Xbox box, we don't actually have an Xbox 360. I sold my 360. I forget if it was to buy like other retro video games to go skiing. I don't really remember. But we have some Nintendo games in here. Dragon Warrior. The instruction booklet to it, which is really cool. It's neat to have the instruction booklets to these old games. Double Dragon 2. Oh, Double Dragon 3.
The Simpsons.
Right? The Simpsons? Oh, The Simpsons is on the back of it. Yeah, look at that. Isn't that cool? Simpsons, Bart Simpson versus the Space Mutants. Then I have these cool cases that I would keep some Nintendo games in. I have POW with the instructions and a nice Donkey Kong sticker on there. Right? Ooh, arcade classic, Popeye. Got this at Funko Land. I vividly remember it because I loved these style of pixelated games, such as Donkey Kong, the original Mario Bros, which was this one right here. Look at that. Speaking of Funko Land, you see the original Funko Land box and Mario Bros arcade classics. I think this was also known as Pipes, where you would go and you would basically run and hit these turtles, jump on them, I forget, but you would... I don't even remember I just remember it was one screen, and you can get to it at the beginning of Mario 2, I believe. But I used to love playing this game. I can't remember exactly what it was about. Okay, we also got Star Tropics, Tom Sawyer. That was a good game, and look at the art on that. I used to love the artwork on these old video games. You know, I can't believe I'm calling Nintendo games old. Double Dragon. This one's in near mint condition. I think I got this at Price's Corner. I might not have, but I think I did. And, oh, one of my favorites. Let's open this up.
I have a Nintendo currently, but a newer one.
You have a Nintendo Switch. This is the 8-bit Nintendo system. And Rad Racer. This was like a 3D racing game. Used to love it. You have that little pixelated city in the background. Speaking of Nintendo, one more system that I'd like to highlight. So we had the original Nintendo. We had the Super Nintendo. But in between Super Nintendo and Nintendo 64, we had the Virtual Boy. This is basically what was competing with PlayStation. This was their 32-bit system. I believe that was the bit on it. But what was cool is it has legs, right? And you can take it off this tripod, yes. But you set it on this tripod. This hooks onto the front of it. And you look into here, and it's 3D. So think about it. You're holding the control, but you don't see the buttons. You got to know where the buttons are. And the game that's in here, as you put them in from the bottom here, it's not been out since I bought the system. So this is the first time we're taking this game out. Hopefully there's not some kind of a trick to it. There's not. It is Mario Tennis for Virtual Boy. And I love this game. I really do. A really good game. So, some cool things up here in the attic. Some cool retro video game systems. I'd love to hook all these up, do some game reviews, play with some of them. I got a bunch more games over there. And I saw a ColecoVision over there, which was pretty cool. But I think we're running out of time for this video. I want to thank you for joining us. And
make sure to like and subscribe.
Because we'll be doing some gameplay with some of these systems too, if they still work. I'm sure they do.
Yeah, probably.